He had no idea he was abandoning the woman who secretly owned the $120 million retail investment portfolio that included his favorite electronics store, the shopping centers where he conducted his business meetings, and the commercial real estate empire that controlled the lease agreements for every establishment he frequented, and whose emergency phone call from a Walmart parking lot would trigger the property acquisition documents that would systematically ban him from every store, restaurant, and business location he considered essential to his lifestyle, while discovering that the helpless elderly mother he left stranded. Before we dive into this incredible story of filial abandonment and the retail empire my ungrateful son never knew I controlled, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment telling me about your worst experience with adult children who took your sacrifices for granted, and subscribe so you never miss stories like this one about what happens when people assume elderly mothers are burdens to be managed and discarded, only to discover just how catastrophically wrong they can be when maternal love meets commercial power that could either maintain their convenient lifestyle or eliminate their access to modern retail civilization permanently. My name is Margaret Thompson, I'm 70 years old, and this story begins on a scorching Saturday afternoon in August 2023, when I made what seemed like a simple request for my son to drive me to Walmart for weekly grocery shopping. A request that would reveal his true character and teach him the most expensive lesson about taking elderly mothers for granted, whose quiet real estate investments had been secretly subsidizing his comfortable lifestyle and business opportunities for over 15 years. But to understand how my son Derek, a successful insurance agent who thought he had built his career through personal networking and sales talent, ended up facing commercial exile and business catastrophe within 24 hours of leaving me stranded in a Walmart parking lot. You need to know who I was before my carefully maintained image as a retired widow concealed one of the most extensive retail property portfolios in the Pacific Northwest and the commercial real estate network that determined which businesses thrived and which promising ventures failed due to inadequate location access and lease availability. For 38 years, I was Margaret Thompson, founder and controlling shareholder of Thompson Commercial Properties, one of Washington State's most successful retail real estate development companies responsible for developing over 60 shopping centers, strip malls, and commercial complexes, including the premier retail locations that housed major electronics stores, restaurant chains, and specialty shops that generated millions in foot traffic while creating the commercial infrastructure that allowed thousands of small businesses to flourish in competitive retail markets throughout Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, and Spokane metropolitan areas. I wasn't just living as a retired widow in a modest suburban home. I was the strategic architect behind retail developments worth hundreds of millions of dollars and controlling the commercial lease relationships that determined which businesses received prime retail locations, which shopping centers attracted anchor tenants, and which entrepreneurs gained access to high-traffic commercial spaces that could establish generational wealth for families who understood the value of location in retail success and commercial development throughout the Pacific Northwest's most competitive business. My commercial portfolio included shopping centers in Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, and Federal Way that housed over 400 retail tenants, strip mall developments throughout Pierce County and King County that generated over $85 million annually in lease revenues, and the premium retail locations that provided competitive advantages for electronic stores, restaurants, service businesses, and professional offices. My responsibilities encompassed identifying undervalued commercial properties before other developers recognized retail potential, negotiating complex lease agreements that required sophisticated understanding of retail economics and tenant relationship management, coordinating with city planning departments and zoning boards who determined which areas received commercial development approval, and implementing the retail strategies that had turned modest initial investments into a commercial real estate empire worth over $120 million across some of the Pacific Northwest's most desirable retail markets and high-traffic shopping destinations But these achievements only tell part of the story about the complexity and critical importance of commercial real estate development at the highest levels of retail planning and business location strategy. When you're responsible for creating the shopping centers that serve entire communities, managing relationships with major retail chains that affect thousands of customers' shopping options, and supporting the location needs of small businesses whose success impacts local employment and economic development, every decision carries enormous weight and consequences that extend far beyond individual property success to impact entire commercial districts and retail ecosystems throughout the region. Commercial real estate development at my level required understanding demographic patterns and consumer behavior that determined which retail concepts would succeed in specific locations, coordinating with major anchor tenants whose presence attracted smaller retailers and ensured shopping center viability, managing complex financing arrangements that could span decades and required relationships with banks, investors, and municipal governments, and maintaining the delicate balance between maximizing rental revenues and supporting tenant success that ensured long-term property value and community economic stability. The shopping centers and commercial developments that I created weren't just real estate investments. They were community economic engines that provided employment for thousands of retail workers, supported hundreds of small business owners and entrepreneurs, and created the commercial infrastructure that allowed families to access essential services, entertainment options, and shopping conveniences within reasonable distances from their homes and workplaces throughout rapidly growing metropolitan areas that demanded sophisticated retail planning and strategic commercial development. During my first year in commercial real estate, 1985, I started as a property manager for a small shopping center in Tacoma, working on tenant relations, while most real estate developers were focused on residential properties that didn't require the complex retail expertise necessary for commercial lease management and shopping center operations. While other developers pursued quick residential flips and apartment complex investments, I focused on understanding the fundamental economics that made retail locations successful, building relationships with business owners and commercial tenants, who understood that sustainable retail development required patient, methodical planning that prioritized tenant success over short-term lease revenue maximization. That first shopping center management experience taught me essential lessons about retail development, tenant relationship building, and the importance of treating commercial real estate as a community service that supported local businesses rather than simply generating profits for property investors. I learned to evaluate retail potential carefully, maintain properties to the highest commercial standards, and build relationships with business owners, city planners, and retail chains that would become the foundation for decades of successful commercial development and community-focused retail innovation that served both tenant needs and consumer demand. The Lakewood Plaza Shopping Center, where I began my career, was a modest 50,000 square foot development with 12 retail tenants, but it provided an intensive education in every aspect of commercial property management, from lease negotiations and tenant relations to maintenance coordination and customer traffic analysis. I spent 18-hour days learning how different retail businesses operated, what factors contributed to tenant success or failure, and how shopping center design and management could either support or hinder the small businesses that depended on foot traffic and location visibility for their economic survival. Working with the original tenants at Lakewood Plaza, including a family grocery store, a small restaurant, a clothing boutique, and a hardware store, taught me that successful commercial real estate required understanding each tenant's unique needs and challenges, rather than applying one-size-fits-all lease terms and property management approaches. The grocery store needed loading dock access and refrigeration support. The restaurant required grease trap maintenance and adequate parking for evening customers. The clothing boutique needed attractive window displays and seasonal decoration flexibility, and the hardware store required convenient access for customers with vehicles and trailers picking up large purchases. By 1990, I had saved enough from my property management salary and commission income to purchase my first commercial property, a small strip mall in Puyallup that was being sold by a developer who had overextended his financing and needed quick liquidation to avoid foreclosure. The purchase required coordinating with 3 different banks, negotiating with existing tenants who were concerned about ownership changes, and implementing immediate improvements to electrical systems and parking lot maintenance that had been deferred by the previous owner, who had prioritized cash flow over property maintenance and tenant satisfaction. The Puyallup strip mall acquisition taught me crucial lessons about distressed property rehabilitation and the importance of maintaining excellent tenant relationships during ownership transitions. Several tenants were considering relocating due to maintenance issues and uncertainty about lease renewals, but I invested $180,000 in immediate property improvements, including parking lot repaving, exterior lighting upgrades, and HVAC system repairs, that demonstrated my commitment to creating a high-quality retail environment that supported tenant success and customer satisfaction. Within 6 months of purchasing the Puyallup property, occupancy had increased from 70% to 100%, rental rates had improved by 15% due to property improvements and enhanced tenant mix, and I had established relationships with local business owners who appreciated working with a property owner who understood retail operations and prioritized tenant success over maximum rent extraction. The success of my first property acquisition provided the foundation and credibility necessary for subsequent commercial developments and established my reputation as a developer who created value for both tenants and the broader retail community. By 1995, my property portfolio had grown to include 8 different commercial developments throughout the Puget Sound region, including shopping centers, strip malls, and standalone retail buildings that were carefully designed and financed conservatively. allowing me to weather the early 1990s recession that destroyed many speculative commercial developments, while actually expanding my property holdings by acquiring distressed retail locations from developers who had overextended their financing and lost properties to foreclosure during economic downturn. The 1990s proved to be a decisive decade for establishing Thompson Commercial Properties as a major force in Pacific Northwest retail development. While larger development companies focused on massive mall projects and maximizing square footage, I specialized in community-focused shopping centers that served local businesses and neighborhood retailers, while generating steady lease revenues and long-term tenant relationships. This approach allowed me to build deep connections with successful business owners, city planning departments, and retail chains that provided early access to prime development opportunities and protected my commercial investments from economic volatility and retail market disruptions. One of my most significant early successes involved developing the Cascade View Shopping Center in Bellevue, where I had identified an undervalued commercial site that major developers considered too small for profitable retail development. The 15-acre property was being offered by the city as part of an urban renewal initiative, but most developers dismissed it because of its irregular shape and the complex environmental remediation required due to previous industrial use that had left soil contamination issues requiring expensive cleanup procedures. I spent 8 months researching the environmental challenges, coordinating with environmental consultants and city planning departments, and developing a comprehensive remediation and development plan that would transform the former industrial site into a thriving retail destination. The project required obtaining permits from 4 different government agencies, coordinating environmental cleanup that cost $2.3 million, and managing construction that took 18 months and involved 15 different contractors and subcontractors, working on everything from soil remediation to retail space construction. The environmental remediation process alone required removing over 800 tons of contaminated soil, installing groundwater monitoring systems, and implementing vapor barrier systems that would prevent any future environmental issues while ensuring the safety of retail tenants and customers who would use the property for decades to come. The complexity of the environmental work meant that most developers avoided the project entirely, giving me the opportunity to acquire prime commercial land at below-market prices while creating a showcase development that demonstrated my capability to handle complex urban renewal projects. The Cascade View Shopping Center development required recruiting anchor tenants who would attract smaller retailers and ensure the project's commercial viability. I spent 6 months negotiating with major retail chains, presenting demographic data and traffic projections that demonstrated the site's potential for sustained customer traffic and retail success. The anchor tenant recruitment process involved detailed discussions with store location teams from Best Buy, Safeway, CVS Pharmacy, and Starbucks, each requiring specific lease terms and property modifications that would support their retail operations and corporate expansion strategies. Best Buy's location team was particularly interested in the site's proximity to several residential neighborhoods and its visibility from major arterial roads. But they required specific electrical infrastructure and loading dock configurations that could support their electronics inventory and customer pickup operations. Negotiating the Best Buy lease required 6 months of detailed discussions about everything from parking space allocation to exterior signage specifications, but securing their commitment as an anchor tenant provided the credibility necessary to attract additional retailers and obtain construction financing for the overall development. Safeway's interest in the location was based on demographic analysis showing insufficient grocery options in the immediate area, but they required specific property modifications, including separate truck access for food deliveries and specialized utility connections for refrigeration systems that would support their full-service grocery operations. The Safeway lease negotiations involved coordinating with their real estate team, operations managers, and corporate executives, who needed assurance that the development would attract sufficient customer traffic to support a 55,000-square-foot grocery store that represented a significant investment in inventory and staffing. CVS Pharmacy's participation required a drive-through pharmacy configuration that necessitated specific traffic flow design and municipal approval for the drive-through operation that added complexity to the overall site planning and construction timeline. Starbucks wanted a location with both interior seating and drive-through capability, requiring careful coordination with the overall site design to ensure adequate traffic flow and parking availability that would serve all tenants without creating congestion or access problems during peak shopping periods. The construction phase of Cascade View Shopping Center required coordinating with over 20 different contractors and subcontractors, while maintaining strict timelines that would allow anchor tenants to open according to their corporate schedules and seasonal business plans. The project involved constructing 125,000 square feet of retail space across 4 separate buildings, installing shared parking for 450 vehicles, and creating the infrastructure necessary to support diverse retail operations ranging from grocery and pharmacy to electronics and food service. The construction management process required daily coordination with electrical contractors installing power systems for each tenant's specific needs, plumbing contractors handling everything from basic restroom facilities to Safeway's complex refrigeration requirements, and HVAC contractors implementing climate control systems that would maintain appropriate temperatures for different types of retail merchandise while minimizing operating costs for tenant businesses that operated on slim profit margins in competitive retail markets. Site work included installing stormwater management systems that met evolving environmental regulations, creating landscaping that enhanced the property's visual appeal while minimizing maintenance costs, and implementing lighting systems that provided security and customer convenience while reducing energy consumption through efficient LED technology and automated controls that adjusted lighting levels based on time of day and seasonal changes in daylight availability. The most complex aspect of the construction process involved coordinating the timing of different phases to ensure that infrastructure installation didn't interfere with tenant build-out schedules, while managing municipal inspections and approval processes that could delay opening dates and affect tenant business plans that depended on specific opening timelines for inventory ordering, staff hiring, and marketing campaigns that required months of advance planning and coordination. But the most devastating aspect of my son's Walmart parking lot abandonment was that he had no understanding that his comfortable lifestyle, his business opportunities, and his social activities had been quietly supported through my commercial real estate success and retail industry connections for over 15 years. The prime office location that housed his insurance agency in downtown Bellevue, the restaurants where he conducted client meetings, the electronics stores where he purchased his gadgets and equipment, all of this had been accessible through Thompson Commercial Properties ownership and lease management that I had deliberately kept private to avoid creating family dependency or business conflicts that could damage both my tenant relationships and family harmony. Derek's insurance office, which he considered evidence of his business acumen and professional networking success, was actually located in the Thompson Professional Building, one of my premier commercial properties that I had specifically designated for professional services and business offices. His $4,800 monthly lease payments were being credited back to a family account that I managed through a complex but legal arrangement with my property management company, effectively providing him with free prime commercial space, while he believed he was paying market rates for his coveted downtown location that enhanced his professional image and client accessibility. The accounting structure that enabled Derek's free office space involved establishing a family trust that received lease payments from the Thompson Professional Building, with trust distributions that covered Derek's lease payments without his knowledge or understanding of the financial arrangement. This system allowed me to support his business development, while maintaining his sense of independence and personal achievement, that I believed was important for his professional confidence and self-esteem, though it created a dependency relationship that he never acknowledged or appreciated. The electronics store where Derek spent thousands of dollars annually on computers, phones, and gadgets, Best Buy Tech Center in the Cascade View Shopping Center, was paying me $28,000 monthly in lease payments, meaning that Derek's technology purchases were essentially funded through my property ownership, while he believed he was supporting an independent business with his consumer spending and brand loyalty. The irony of Derek spending his insurance commissions on electronics at a store that was generating rental income for the mother he increasingly treated as a burden was one of many examples of how thoroughly his lifestyle depended on my commercial real estate success. Derek's favorite restaurants for client entertainment, including Romano's Italian Bistro, where he held weekly business lunches, and the Steakhouse, where he celebrated major insurance sales, were both located in Thompson Commercial Properties developments and provided me with detailed monthly reports about his dining frequency and spending patterns. The restaurant owners, who knew me as their landlord but didn't know Derek was my son, often mentioned the successful young insurance agent who brought clients for regular business meals, never realizing they were describing the son of the woman who owned their commercial space. My son had no idea that the woman he was about to abandon in a Walmart parking lot controlled the very commercial properties and retail relationships that had made his business location possible, provided his favorite shopping destinations, and created the commercial infrastructure that supported his comfortable lifestyle and professional success throughout the Seattle metropolitan area. The scope of my commercial real estate empire extended far beyond Derek's immediate business, and shopping needs to encompass virtually every aspect of modern retail life in the region where he lived and worked. The gas stations where Derek filled his vehicle, the coffee shops where he met clients for informal discussions, the dry cleaners who maintained his professional wardrobe, the gym where he maintained his fitness routine, and the grocery stores where he purchased food. Nearly every commercial establishment that Derek frequented was either owned by Thompson Commercial Properties or operated in shopping centers that I had developed and continued to manage through my extensive retail property portfolio. This comprehensive commercial influence hadn't developed accidentally, but represented decades of strategic property acquisition and development that had positioned me as one of the most significant commercial landlords in the region. My properties housed major retail chains, small family businesses, professional service providers, and specialty shops that collectively served hundreds of thousands of customers weekly, while generating the rental revenues that had made me one of the wealthiest property owners in Washington state. The geographic scope of my commercial holdings extended throughout the Puget Sound region, with properties in Seattle, Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, Renton, Federal Way, Tacoma, Olympia, and Everett that created a network of retail locations spanning the entire metropolitan area where Derek conducted his business and personal activities. This regional coverage meant that Derek's commercial activities occurred almost exclusively within the ecosystem of properties that I owned or had developed, though he remained completely unaware of his dependence on my real estate empire. The stage was set for a Walmart parking lot abandonment that would test whether my son understood that family relationships required respect and consideration for elderly parents, or whether he would demonstrate the callousness and exploitation that would cost him access to every commercial establishment he considered essential to his modern lifestyle, while discovering that his convenient retail paradise had actually been built on the commercial real estate foundation that I had created through 4 decades of strategic property development and community-focused retail innovation. The property acquisition documents that would change everything were already prepared and waiting in my office safe. Lease termination notices, commercial ban authorizations, tenant-relationship modifications, and strategic property acquisition agreements that would either confirm Derek's continued access to his favorite retail establishments and business locations, or transform his everyday commercial activities into a systematic pattern of rejection and access denial that would demonstrate the true cost of abandoning elderly mothers whose life's work had made comfortable modern living possible for ungrateful children who assumed their retail conveniences were permanent entitlements, rather than privileges that required family loyalty and respect. But the most profound irony of Derek's impending Walmart parking lot abandonment was that he had spent years enjoying the benefits of what he considered his own exceptional business success and professional achievement, never understanding that his remarkable access to prime commercial locations and retail conveniences wasn't coincidental but carefully orchestrated through my commercial real estate influence and property management networks that had been supporting his lifestyle and business operations since he was too young to understand the source of his family's comfortable circumstances and commercial advantages throughout the Pacific Northwest's most competitive retail markets. Looking back now with the clarity that comes from watching adult children reveal their true character through their treatment of elderly parents they consider financially irrelevant, I can see that Derek's assumptions about my limited resources and dependence on his occasional assistance weren't sudden judgments formed during our transportation discussions, They were carefully calculated assessments based on his belief that retired widows represented emotional obligations that successful insurance professionals could manage through periodic family visits and minimal assistance without understanding the commercial real estate. What Derek didn't know, and what he would discover in the most expensive way possible within 24 hours of abandoning me in a Walmart parking lot, was that the modest ranch home in Maple Valley where I prepared traditional family meals and displayed photographs of his childhood achievements was actually the private headquarters of one of the Pacific Northwest's most influential commercial real estate development companies, whose property ownership and retail tenant management had created the shopping infrastructure that served millions of customers while generating the financial foundation that had elevated Derek's professional success. The comfortable living room where Derek occasionally visited for holiday celebrations, furnished with traditional pieces that reflected my preference for understated elegance rather than ostentatious wealth display, contained the same strategic planning capabilities that had coordinated commercial real estate developments worth hundreds of millions of dollars across multiple metropolitan areas and retail markets. The family photos and Derek's insurance industry awards that covered my mantelpiece weren't just proud mother displays. They were visual documentation of career achievements that had been systematically supported through my commercial property ownership and retail industry connections that Derek had never questioned or investigated. The kitchen where I prepared elaborate Sunday dinners for an ungrateful son was equipped with secure communication systems that allowed me to coordinate with commercial real estate attorneys, property management executives, and municipal planning officials who manage zoning approvals and development permits that determined which retail projects received authorization and which promising commercial developments faced regulatory obstacles that could delay or prevent successful completion. The dining room table, where Derek would soon abandon our weekly meal tradition, had hosted strategic planning sessions with retail industry executives and commercial development partners, who controlled lease negotiations for major retail chains and determined which shopping centers attracted anchor tenants that ensured long-term commercial viability. My home office, which appeared to be a simple retirement workspace with basic computer equipment and traditional furniture, actually contained the sophisticated information systems and communication networks that managed a commercial property portfolio generating over $85 million annually in lease revenues, retail development profits, and commercial real estate appreciation that represented 4 decades of systematic innovation and strategic relationship building in the most competitive and regulated industry in American commercial development. The filing systems that looked like typical elderly paperwork organization actually housed documentation for municipal development approvals, commercial lease agreements spanning decades, and retail tenant relationships that represented thousands of small business owners and major retail chains, whose success depended on the shopping center locations and commercial infrastructure that I had created through careful market analysis and strategic property development throughout the Pacific Northwest's most desirable retail corridors. But beyond the physical infrastructure that supported my commercial real estate operations, what Derek completely failed to understand was that my daily routine represented the same level of business expertise and industry influence that had earned Thompson Commercial Properties recognition as one of Washington State's most successful private commercial development companies, featured in industry publications and consulted by municipal governments seeking guidance on retail development strategies and commercial zoning policies that affected economic development outcomes for entire metropolitan regions. My morning schedule that Derek observed during his infrequent visits included reviewing lease renewal negotiations from 47 different retail tenants, analyzing market data from commercial real estate databases that cost $95,000 annually to access, and coordinating with property managers who supervised retail operations at shopping centers throughout Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, and Portland metropolitan areas that employed over 2,800 retail workers and provided shopping services for hundreds of thousands of customers who depended on convenient access to grocery stores. The phone conversations that Derek heard me conducting during his brief visits weren't just social calls with elderly friends. They were strategic consultations with commercial real estate attorneys who specialized in municipal zoning regulations and lease negotiation complexities, retail industry consultants who analyzed demographic trends and consumer behavior patterns that determined which shopping center locations would succeed, and property development coordinators who managed multi-million-dollar construction projects that required coordination between architectural firms, construction contractors, and municipal inspection. The traditional grandmother activities that Derek witnessed during his visits were actually advanced commercial real estate management techniques that I demonstrated through the Thompson Institute for Retail Excellence, our exclusive training program that prepared commercial property managers and retail development executives for leadership positions in shopping center management, retail chain expansion, and commercial real estate development that required sophisticated understanding of lease negotiations, tenant relationship management, and retail market analysis that determined which commercial properties generated sustained profits and which promising developments failed due to inadequate management. The Thompson Institute was perhaps the most prestigious commercial real estate training program in the Western United States, accepting only 18 participants annually through an application process more competitive than MBA program admissions, and requiring extensive experience in retail management, commercial property development, or shopping center operations before candidates qualified for consideration. Our program alumni included regional managers for major retail chains, commercial development directors at municipal planning departments, shopping center general managers at premier retail locations, and property development executives who managed commercial construction projects worth billions of dollars and affected retail access for millions of customers throughout urban and suburban markets. Students paid $150,000 for our intensive 12-month program, which included hands-on training in commercial property development, internships at our retail locations, and personal mentorship from me and our network of commercial real estate professionals who manage shopping centers, retail chain expansion programs, and municipal development projects that created the commercial infrastructure necessary for modern retail operations and community economic development throughout rapidly growing metropolitan areas that demanded sophisticated retail. The waiting list for admission to the Thompson Institute extended over 4 years, and we regularly declined applications from commercial real estate executives at Fortune 500 companies who didn't meet our standards for retail expertise, property management experience, and commitment to community-focused commercial development that distinguished our approach from profit-driven retail development that prioritized maximum rent extraction over tenant success and customer service excellence that should guide responsible commercial real estate development and shopping center management. What made our program unique wasn't just the training quality, it was the industry connections and career advancement opportunities that came with graduation from the most respected commercial real estate education program in American retail development. Thompson Institute graduates had automatic access to executive positions at commercial property companies that never advertised openings, received personal recommendations from municipal planning directors and retail chain executives, and could leverage our network of alumni and professional partners to build careers that would be impossible to achieve through traditional commercial real estate education and industry networking that didn't provide access to the highest levels of retail development funding and commercial property decision-making. Derek's insurance career, which he considered the result of personal achievement and professional networking competence, was actually dependent on relationships with commercial property owners and retail business operators that existed because of exclusive partnerships and lease arrangements that I controlled through strategic investments and commercial developments that had taken decades to establish through consistent excellence in retail property development and shopping center management that served both tenant needs and community economic development throughout the region's most competitive commercial markets. The insurance clients that Derek served through his agency, including retail store owners, restaurant operators, shopping center managers, and commercial property investors, were predominantly business operators whose commercial success depended on lease agreements and property relationships that I managed through Thompson Commercial Properties. Derek's insurance sales success wasn't based solely on his professional competence, though he was certainly qualified to provide insurance services, but on the institutional trust and commercial real estate expertise that my reputation provided to business owners seeking insurance coverage for retail operations that required specialized understanding of commercial property risks and liability issues. Derek's professional networking events, industry conferences, and client entertainment activities occurred almost exclusively at restaurants, hotels, and conference facilities that were located in commercial developments that I owned or had developed through Thompson Commercial Properties. His business lunches at Romano's Italian Bistro, client meetings at the Bellevue Marriott, and insurance industry seminars at the Seattle Convention Center all represented commercial activities that generated lease revenues and property management fees that contributed to my commercial real estate portfolio, while Derek remained completely unaware of his professional dependence on the retail infrastructure that his mother had created. The insurance agency office building where Derek conducted his business was actually the Thompson Professional Center, a commercial development that I had specifically designed and constructed to house insurance agencies, accounting firms, legal practices, and other professional service providers who needed prestigious downtown locations and convenient client access. Derek's monthly lease payments of $4,800 were processed through a complex but legal family trust arrangement that credited his payments back to accounts that I managed, effectively providing him with free office space while maintaining his belief that he was paying market rates for prime commercial real estate. But beyond Derek's direct business operations, what made his impending Walmart abandonment particularly devastating was his complete failure to understand the systematic nature of his dependence on my commercial real estate network for virtually every aspect of his daily life and professional activities. The restaurants where he conducted client meetings, the stores where he purchased clothing and equipment, the service providers who maintained his vehicle and handled his dry cleaning. Nearly every commercial transaction in Derek's life occurred within the ecosystem of properties that I owned or had developed through decades of strategic commercial real estate investment. Romano's Italian Bistro, where Derek held weekly business lunches and celebrated major insurance sales, was located in the Cascade View Shopping Center and operated under a lease agreement that provided me with detailed monthly reports about customer traffic, revenue performance, and operational challenges. The restaurant owner, Maria Romano, knew me as the shopping center developer who had recruited her family business to anchor the dining options at Cascade View, but she had no idea that the successful insurance agent who brought clients for regular business meals was the son of the woman who owned the commercial property that housed her restaurant. Maria often mentioned Derek during our monthly property management meetings, describing him as one of her most reliable business customers who brought different clients for lunch presentations and seemed to genuinely appreciate the quality of her family's traditional Italian cuisine. She had no way of knowing that Derek's restaurant loyalty was actually generating rental income for the mother he increasingly treated as a transportation burden and social obligation, rather than the commercial real estate developer whose property investment had made Romano's Italian Bistro possible. The steakhouse, where Derek celebrated major insurance policy sales and entertained his most important clients, was located in another Thompson Commercial Properties development, the Bellevue Business District complex that I had developed specifically to serve the professional service community with high-end dining and entertainment options. The steakhouse lease agreement included revenue-sharing provisions that provided me with percentage rent based on gross sales, meaning that Derek's celebration dinners and client entertainment expenses were directly contributing to my commercial real estate income, while he remained completely unaware of this financial connection. The scope of Derek's commercial dependency extended far beyond restaurants and professional office space to encompass virtually every retail and service establishment that he frequented throughout his daily routine and professional activities. The Best Buy Tech Center, where Derek purchased computers, smartphones, and office equipment, was paying me $28,000 monthly in base rent, plus percentage rent on sales exceeding specified thresholds, meaning that Derek's technology purchases were essentially funded through rental income from the store where he shopped, while believing he was supporting an independent business through his consumer spending. The Safeway grocery store, where Derek purchased food and household supplies, was generating $35,000 monthly in base rent, plus percentage rent, that provided me with additional income based on the store's sales performance. Derek's weekly grocery shopping, like his restaurant dining and technology purchases, represented commercial activities that contributed to my rental income, while he remained completely unaware that his consumer spending was occurring within a comprehensive ecosystem of properties that I owned and managed. Derek's fitness routine at 24 Hour Fitness was conducted at a location in the Redmond Town Center, a mixed-use development that I had created through a complex public-private partnership with the city of Redmond. The fitness center lease included specialized provisions for equipment installation and member parking that had required extensive coordination during the development planning process, but the result was a premium fitness facility that served Derek's exercise needs while generating consistent rental income that contributed to my commercial real estate portfolio. The dry cleaning service that Derek used to maintain his professional wardrobe, the automotive service center where he maintained his vehicle, the hair salon where he maintained his professional appearance, and the coffee shops where he met clients for informal discussions. All of these service providers operated in commercial spaces that I owned or had developed, creating a comprehensive network of commercial dependency that Derek had never recognized or appreciated. What made Derek's commercial dependency particularly ironic was that his insurance industry success was built on relationships with business owners and commercial property operators who knew me as a respected commercial real estate developer and sought insurance services from Derek based on recommendations and referrals that originated from my professional reputation and industry connections. Derek's insurance agency had been established in the Thompson Professional Center, specifically because the building attracted other professional service providers who could refer business to each other and create a synergistic professional community. Kritikefentus hearts to fex marlies and mentagires. Kreprestis's first to arts to presagane furking professional community. The accounting firm located on the second floor of Derek's building regularly referred commercial property insurance needs to Derek's agency, not knowing that the building owner was actually Derek's mother, who had specifically recruited compatible professional services to create referral opportunities for all tenants. The law firm that occupied the third floor specialized in commercial real estate transactions and frequently recommended Derek's insurance services to their clients who were purchasing or developing commercial properties, never realizing that their building landlord was the mother of the insurance agent they were recommending. Derek's most significant insurance clients included 3 major retail chains that operated stores in Thompson Commercial Properties developments, 2 restaurant groups that managed multiple locations in my shopping centers, and a commercial construction company that had built several of my retail developments over the past decade. These business relationships existed not because of Derek's exceptional sales abilities, though he was certainly competent, but because of the commercial real estate connections and professional reputation that I had built through decades of successful property development and tenant relationship management. The civic and professional organizations where Derek participated in networking activities were predominantly composed of business owners and commercial property operators, whose success depended on the retail infrastructure and commercial development that I had created throughout the region. The Bellevue Chamber of Commerce, where Derek served on the membership committee, included dozens of retail business owners who operated in Thompson Commercial Properties developments and knew me as the developer who had created their shopping center locations and provided ongoing property management support. The Seattle Insurance Professionals Association, where Derek had been elected to the board of directors, included commercial insurance specialists who regularly worked with property owners and retail business operators throughout the region. Derek's leadership role in the organization was supported by his reputation among commercial property owners, who knew him as the son of Margaret Thompson, though Derek remained unaware that his professional recognition was connected to my commercial real estate reputation, rather than solely based on his individual insurance industry achievements. Derek's participation in Rotary Club activities, charitable fundraising events, and professional development seminars occurred within a network of business and community leaders who knew me as a successful commercial real estate developer and philanthropist who had contributed to community economic development through strategic retail property development and small business support. Derek's social and professional standing within these organizations was enhanced by his association with my reputation, though he had never acknowledged or appreciated this connection. But perhaps the most significant aspect of Derek's dependency was the financial infrastructure that I had created to support his business and personal expenses without his knowledge or understanding. The family trust that managed Derek's office lease payments was just one component of a comprehensive financial support system that had been subsidizing his lifestyle and business operations for over 15 years through carefully structured legal arrangements that provided assistance while maintaining his sense of independence and personal achievement. Derek's business insurance policies, including professional liability coverage and commercial property insurance for his agency, were actually paid through a business services trust that I had established to support family members' professional development. The quarterly premium payments of $8,400 appeared to Derek as routine business expenses, but they were actually funded through trust distributions that originated from my commercial real estate income, while being processed through Derek's business accounts in ways that maintained his belief that he was paying all business expenses through his insurance sales commissions. The lease payments for Derek's luxury vehicle, which he considered evidence of his business success and professional status, were actually managed through an automotive trust that I had established to support family members' transportation needs, while maintaining appropriate professional image for their business activities. Derek's monthly vehicle payments of $850 were processed as business expenses through his insurance agency. but the actual funding came from trust accounts that I managed through rental income from commercial properties, while Derek remained completely unaware of this financial support. Derek's health insurance premiums, life insurance policies, and retirement account contributions were all supplemented through trust arrangements that provided financial assistance, while maintaining his belief that he was funding these expenses through his insurance income. The comprehensive nature of this financial support meant that Derek's actual living expenses were substantially lower than his lifestyle would suggest, though he attributed his comfortable financial situation to exceptional insurance sales performance rather than understanding the systematic financial assistance that had been supporting his lifestyle for years. The legal documents that waited in my office safe represented not just consequences for Derek's anticipated abandonment, but a comprehensive property acquisition strategy that had been developed over months of careful planning and legal preparation. The strategy involved purchasing or gaining operational control over every commercial establishment that Derek frequented, creating a network of properties where his access could be systematically restricted or eliminated based on his treatment of family relationships and respect for elderly parents. The property acquisition documents included purchase agreements for 3 retail properties that housed Derek's favorite restaurants and shopping destinations, lease assumption agreements that would give me operational control over businesses where Derek conducted regular commercial activities, and commercial ban authorization forms that would allow property managers and business operators to restrict Derek's access based on property owner policies and tenant operational guidelines. The financial capability to implement this acquisition strategy had been carefully developed through decades of commercial real estate success and strategic cash reserve management that provided me with immediate access to over $40 million in liquid assets that could be deployed for property purchases, business acquisitions, and lease negotiations that would create comprehensive commercial control over Derek's retail and business environment throughout the Seattle metropolitan area. But the acquisition strategy represented more than just financial capability. It demonstrated the extensive commercial relationships and industry influence that I had developed through Thompson Commercial Properties and the Thompson Institute for Retail Excellence. The property owners and business operators who would be approached for purchase or lease negotiations knew me as a respected commercial real estate developer whose property management and tenant relationship expertise ensured successful commercial operations and sustainable business development. The stage was set for Derek's Walmart parking lot abandonment to trigger the most comprehensive commercial consequences that had ever been implemented against someone who had systematically exploited family financial support while treating elderly relatives as inconvenient obligations rather than respected family members whose life work had made comfortable modern living possible. The woman Derek was about to abandon controlled not just significant financial resources, but an entire commercial ecosystem that determined where he could shop, dine, conduct business, and access professional services throughout the region where he lived and worked. The modest grandmother who prepared traditional family meals in a suburban kitchen was actually the strategic architect of a commercial real estate empire that had created the retail infrastructure, serving millions of customers, while generating the financial foundation that had supported Derek's comfortable lifestyle and professional success through 15 years of systematic assistance that he had never acknowledged or appreciated. Derek's assumption that his professional achievements were entirely self-made, his comfortable lifestyle was permanently secure, and his access to commercial establishments was guaranteed regardless of his treatment of family relationships, would be comprehensively tested through consequences that would demonstrate the true cost of abandoning elderly relatives whose generosity and business success had created opportunities and advantages that ungrateful children could lose as quickly as they had been provided through decades of strategic support and professional advocacy. The commercial real estate empire that Derek had never understood or appreciated was about to become the instrument of justice that would teach him the most expensive lesson of his life about family loyalty, respect for elderly parents, and the importance of understanding that comfortable lifestyles and professional success often depend on relationships and support systems that require gratitude and consideration rather than taking for granted the advantages and opportunities that distinguish successful professionals from those who struggle without family resources and commercial connections throughout competitive business environments. The first clear indication that Derek viewed my transportation requests as elderly obligations rather than opportunities to spend time with the commercial real estate developer who had funded his comfortable lifestyle came during our weekly dinner arrangement in June 2023. just 2 months before the Walmart abandonment that would cost him access to every retail establishment he considered essential to his modern existence. What initially seemed like natural scheduling, coordination, and time management gradually revealed itself as systematic evaluation of my needs and inconvenience level that my successful son could minimize through efficient obligation fulfillment and strategic availability management. Derek, who had built his $180,000 insurance career on commercial relationships and business networking that he believed represented his own professional achievement, approached our family time with the analytical methodology of someone managing competing priorities rather than appreciating family relationships and expressing gratitude for the business opportunities and financial advantages that had elevated him from struggling college graduate to successful insurance professional in one of Washington State's most competitive commercial markets. "Mom, I think we need to talk about making our dinner schedule more flexible," Derek announced during our traditional Sunday meal in late June, producing his smartphone loaded with calendar applications and scheduling software that treated our family time like a business meeting, requiring optimization and efficiency management, rather than understanding that weekly dinners represented cultural tradition and family bonding that required personal investment and emotional commitment, rather than convenient coordination and streamlined family interaction. But instead of approaching our family time with the respectful appreciation of someone whose insurance career had been systematically supported through commercial real estate connections and business referrals, Derek analyzed our weekly dinners with the cost-benefit evaluation methods of someone determining optimal resource allocation, rather than recognizing that family meals represented opportunities to honor elderly parents whose life's work had created the financial foundation for his comfortable professional life and business advancement. "I'm thinking we could make the dinner schedule more adaptable to accommodate my client meeting requirements and networking obligations," Derek continued while reviewing his calendar and making notes about business availability that treated family time like a professional constraint, rather than understanding that family relationships required personal sacrifice and schedule flexibility that demonstrated appreciation for elderly parents who had invested decades in creating opportunities for younger generation success and professional development. Derek's approach to family dinner planning revealed his fundamental assumption that elderly parents should adapt family traditions to accommodate the busy schedules of successful professionals rather than understanding that family meals represented opportunities for accomplished children to demonstrate gratitude and respect for the elderly parents whose achievements had made their comfortable lives possible through systematic financial support and business advocacy that most insurance professionals never received. The pattern of Derek's changing priorities became particularly evident when I began requiring assistance with transportation to medical appointments and shopping trips that had become challenging due to age-related vision changes and mobility limitations that made driving increasingly difficult and potentially dangerous for both myself and other drivers on busy metropolitan roadways. Instead of viewing these requests as opportunities to provide care and assistance to the elderly parent whose commercial real estate success had made his lifestyle possible, Derek treated transportation needs like scheduling problems, requiring efficient solutions and minimal time investment. "Mom, I've been researching senior transportation services that might work better for your shopping needs," Derek announced during our August 12th dinner, speaking with obvious enthusiasm for solutions that would eliminate his transportation responsibilities while preserving his self-image as a caring son who addressed elderly parent needs through resourceful problem-solving rather than personal sacrifice and time investment. "There's a senior shuttle service that goes to Walmart twice weekly, and they provide shopping assistance to help with cart management and package carrying," Derek explained while obviously pleased that family obligations could be managed through commercial services rather than requiring personal involvement and schedule coordination with elderly parent needs and caregiving responsibilities. But Derek's enthusiasm for outsourcing elderly parent assistance revealed his complete failure to understand that family caregiving represented opportunities for personal connection and relationship building rather than obligations requiring efficient management through commercial alternatives and third-party services that eliminated the personal investment and emotional engagement that distinguished caring family relationships from routine elderly accommodation. "I've also looked into grocery delivery services that could bring everything directly to your house," Derek continued with obvious relief that technology solutions could address elderly parent needs without requiring his personal involvement or schedule flexibility. "That way you wouldn't need to deal with shopping trips at all, and I could maintain focus on client development and business activities that require consistent attention and professional dedication." Derek's systematic approach to minimizing family caregiving responsibilities was accompanied by increasingly detailed explanations of his professional obligations and business development activities that apparently took priority over elderly parent assistance and family relationship maintenance. Instead of recognizing that successful careers created opportunities to provide better care for aging relatives, Derek used his insurance industry success as justification for reducing family involvement and emotional investment. "The insurance business is really demanding right now," Derek explained during our August 19th dinner, while reviewing client files and business development materials that required attention during family time, rather than providing undivided focus on family conversation and relationship building. "I'm working on several major commercial policy renewals that could really impact my annual commission income and agency growth targets." Derek's reference to demanding business requirements revealed his assumption that professional success justified minimizing family obligations, rather than understanding that career achievements created responsibilities to provide better support and assistance to elderly relatives whose life work had made professional success possible through systematic financial support and business relationship development. "These commercial clients require a lot of attention and relationship management," Derek continued while making notes about business priorities and client coordination activities that took precedence over family conversation and elderly parent engagement. "Missing client meetings or being unavailable for business emergencies could really damage my professional reputation and agency success metrics." But Derek's focus on professional reputation and business metrics demonstrated his complete failure to understand that his insurance industry success and commercial client relationships existed because of institutional trust and business connections that I had provided through decades of commercial real estate development and tenant relationship management that had created the business environment where Derek's insurance agency could thrive and prosper. As August progressed toward the fateful Saturday that would change Derek's life forever, his responses to my transportation requests revealed increasing impatience and irritation with elderly parent needs that interfered with his preferred weekend activities and personal schedule management. Instead of approaching family caregiving with patience and understanding, Derek treated my assistance requests like unwelcome interruptions that required efficient handling and minimal time investment. "Mom, about this Walmart shopping thing," Derek mentioned during our August 26th dinner with obvious frustration about ongoing transportation coordination. "I'm really hoping we can find a permanent solution that doesn't require weekly schedule coordination and weekend time management. My business development activities are reaching a critical phase that requires consistent focus and availability." "Mom, about these doctor appointments and shopping trips," Derek mentioned during our July dinner meeting while checking his phone for client messages and business coordination updates that took priority over family conversation and caregiving discussions. "I'm wondering if we might want to explore some alternative transportation options that could be more convenient for both of us, given my client meeting schedule and business development activities." Derek's suggestion that we, quote, "explore alternative transportation options" reflected his assumption that elderly parents should minimize their requests for assistance and adapt their needs to accommodate the professional demands of successful family members, rather than understanding that caregiving represented opportunities for accomplished children to demonstrate appreciation for the elderly parents whose financial support and business connections had created the career advantages that distinguished their professional success from other insurance agents who lacked similar family resources and commercial relationships. "There are rideshare services and senior transportation programs that might work better than coordinating with my business schedule," Derek continued while reviewing his client calendar and making notes about appointment conflicts that apparently took priority over family caregiving responsibilities and elderly parent assistance. "That way you could maintain independence while I could focus on client development and business growth activities that require consistent attention during business hours." But Derek's suggestion revealed his fundamental misunderstanding of family priorities and generational responsibility, treating elderly caregiving like scheduling problems that required efficiency solutions rather than understanding that providing assistance to aging parents demanded personal sacrifice and time investment that demonstrated respect for elderly relatives and family heritage that couldn't be outsourced through commercial services and convenient alternatives. The specific request that would ultimately trigger Derek's most expensive life lesson began in early August, when I explained that weekly grocery shopping at Walmart had become challenging due to the store's size, crowded aisles, and heavy shopping cart management that required physical capabilities that had diminished with age and arthritis, that made extended shopping trips increasingly difficult without assistance from family members who understood my preferences and shopping needs. "Derek, I was hoping you might be able to help me with grocery shopping on Saturday afternoons, I mentioned during our August 5th dinner, presenting this request as an opportunity for family time and shared activity rather than demanding obligation. The Walmart near my house has everything I need, but navigating the store and managing the shopping cart has become more challenging than I'd like to admit. Derek's initial response to my Walmart shopping request revealed his automatic calculation of time investment and convenience factors, rather than recognizing this as an opportunity to provide meaningful assistance to the elderly parent whose commercial real estate empire had been supporting his comfortable lifestyle through 15 years of systematic financial assistance and business relationship development. How long do these Walmart trips usually take? Derek asked while reviewing his weekend calendar and assessing the impact on his personal activities and social obligations. I'm trying to coordinate with some client entertainment activities and weekend networking events that are important for business development and insurance sales growth. Derek's immediate focus on time management and business activity coordination demonstrated his systematic approach to minimizing family obligation investment, while preserving maximum availability for professional activities that he considered more important than elderly parent assistance and family caregiving responsibilities that required personal sacrifice and emotional commitment from successful professionals who had benefited from family financial support throughout their career development. Over the following weeks, Derek's approach to my transportation requests evolved into a systematic pattern of excuse development and alternative suggestion that revealed his fundamental unwillingness to provide regular assistance while maintaining the appearance of family concern and elderly accommodation. Instead of acknowledging that successful children have responsibilities to provide care and assistance to elderly parents, Derek treated my needs like problems requiring efficient solutions that minimized his time investment and schedule disruption. Derek's reference to finding a, quote, permanent solution revealed his systematic effort to eliminate family caregiving responsibilities, rather than recognizing that elderly parent assistance represented ongoing opportunities for family bonding and relationship building that required sustained personal investment and emotional commitment throughout the aging process and increasing dependency that characterized natural family development cycles. Maybe we should look into hiring a personal assistant or companion service that could handle shopping trips and transportation needs on a regular basis, Derek suggested, while obviously calculating the cost of commercial assistance versus the inconvenience of personal involvement in elderly parent caregiving activities. That way you'd have reliable transportation while I could maintain focus on client development and agency growth that requires professional dedication and business priority management. But Derek's suggestion of hiring assistants revealed his fundamental misunderstanding of family relationships and caregiving responsibilities, treating elderly parent needs like service requirements that could be satisfied through commercial providers, rather than understanding that family assistance represented emotional connection and relationship building that couldn't be outsourced through professional caregiving services and third-party assistance providers. Derek's reluctance to provide transportation assistance became particularly evident when his weekend schedule included social activities and personal entertainment that he prioritized over family obligations and elderly parent needs. Instead of recognizing that family responsibilities sometimes required sacrificing personal preferences and social activities, Derek approached schedule conflicts as problems requiring family accommodation rather than personal sacrifice and priority adjustment. I'm really hoping we can reschedule this Saturday's shopping trip, Derek mentioned during our discussion about August 26 transportation arrangements. I've got tickets to the Seahawks preseason game with some clients, and it's a really important networking opportunity that could lead to significant business development and commission income growth. Derek's prioritization of football game attendance over elderly parent assistance revealed his systematic approach to family obligation management, where personal entertainment and business networking took precedence over family caregiving responsibilities and elderly parent needs that required personal sacrifice and schedule flexibility from successful professionals who had benefited from family financial support throughout their career development. These client entertainment opportunities are really crucial for building relationships and developing trust that leads to policy renewals and referral business, Derek explained, while obviously hoping that business justification would make his priorities appear reasonable and professionally necessary, rather than revealing his fundamental lack of appreciation for family relationships and elderly parent assistance responsibilities. But Derek's focus on client entertainment and business networking demonstrated his complete failure to understand that his insurance industry success and commercial client relationships were dependent on business connections and professional reputation that I had developed through decades of commercial real estate success and tenant relationship management that had created the business environment where Derek's agency could attract clients and generate commission income. During the last week of August 2023, Derek's behavior toward my transportation requests and family time coordination revealed the systematic disrespect and elderly parent dismissal that would ultimately trigger the most expensive consequences of his professional life. Instead of approaching our final family interactions with appreciation and respect, Derek demonstrated increasing irritation and obvious calculation about minimizing family obligation investment while preserving maximum availability for personal activities and business development. "Mom, I think we really need to establish some boundaries around these transportation requests," Derek announced during our August 31st dinner conversation, with obvious frustration about ongoing family coordination requirements. "I understand that you need assistance, but I also have professional responsibilities and personal commitments that require predictable schedule management and availability for business development activities." Metzev. Derek's reference to establishing boundaries around elderly parent assistance revealed his systematic effort to limit family caregiving responsibilities rather than recognizing that successful children have increasing obligations to provide care and support for aging relatives whose life work had made their comfortable lifestyles and professional achievements possible through decades of financial support and business relationship development. "Maybe we could set up a monthly schedule where I provide transportation assistance on specific dates that don't conflict with my business development activities and client relationship management," Derek suggested, while obviously hoping that family obligations could be contained within predetermined time limits and wouldn't interfere with his preferred personal and professional activities. But Derek's suggestion of monthly schedule limitations revealed his fundamental misunderstanding of elderly caregiving needs and family responsibility, treating aging parent assistance like optional activities that could be scheduled and limited, rather than understanding that family relationships required flexibility and responsiveness to changing needs and increasing dependency that characterized the natural aging process and family development cycles. Derek's final week of family interactions before the Walmart abandonment included increasingly elaborate explanations of his business obligations and professional development activities that apparently justified minimizing elderly parent assistance and family relationship investment. Instead of acknowledging that his insurance career success created opportunities to provide better family support, Derek used business achievements as justification for reducing family involvement and emotional commitment. "I'm really at a critical point in my insurance career development," Derek explained during our September 2nd phone conversation about weekend transportation coordination. "The agency is considering me for a regional management position that would significantly increase my income and professional advancement opportunities, but it requires demonstrating consistent availability and dedication to business development activities." Derek's reference to critical point career development revealed his assumption that professional advancement justified minimizing family obligations rather than understanding that career success created responsibilities to provide better support and assistance to elderly relatives whose commercial real estate empire had made his insurance industry opportunities possible through strategic business relationships and financial assistance. "This regional management opportunity could really transform my professional trajectory and financial security," Derek continued with obvious excitement about career advancement that took priority over family caregiving responsibilities and elderly parent assistance needs. "But it requires proving that I can prioritize business development and client relationship management without being distracted by personal obligations and family coordination requirements." But Derek's enthusiasm for career advancement and professional recognition demonstrated his complete failure to understand that his insurance industry success and management opportunities existed because of business connections and commercial relationships that I had developed through Thompson Commercial Properties, and decades of retail tenant management that had created the business environment where Derek's insurance agency could thrive and attract major commercial clients. The pattern of Derek's behavior during early September revealed systematic disrespect and elderly parent dismissal that extended beyond transportation assistance to encompass all aspects of our family relationship and communication. Instead of treating our interactions with appreciation and respect for the elderly parent whose life work had made his comfortable lifestyle possible, Derek approached family time with obvious impatience and calculation about minimizing emotional investment and time commitment. During our September 5th dinner, Derek spent the majority of our time together focused on his smartphone, responding to client messages and coordinating business activities that apparently couldn't wait until after family time was completed. His obvious priority on business communication over family conversation revealed his systematic devaluation of elderly parent relationships and family time investment that required undivided attention and emotional engagement. "Sorry, Mom, but this client situation is really urgent," Derek explained while continuing to type business messages during our meal. "These commercial policy negotiations are happening in real time, and missing communication windows could cost significant commission income and client relationship damage." Derek's prioritization of business communication during family time revealed his assumption that elderly parents should understand and accommodate the professional demands of successful children, rather than expecting undivided attention and emotional engagement during family meals and relationship-building activities that required personal sacrifice and professional boundary management. The specific circumstances that would lead to Derek's Walmart parking lot abandonment began developing during our September 8th phone conversation about weekend shopping assistance, when Derek's responses revealed systematic effort to avoid family obligations while maintaining the appearance of concern and accommodation for elderly parent needs that he considered inconvenient constraints on his preferred personal and professional activities. "Mom, about this Saturday's Walmart trip," Derek mentioned with obvious reluctance about providing transportation assistance. "I'm really hoping we can either reschedule or find an alternative solution, because I've got some important business activities that require attention during weekend hours when clients are available for meetings and relationship development." Derek's repeated requests to reschedule or find alternatives revealed his systematic avoidance of family caregiving responsibilities rather than recognizing that elderly parent assistance represented opportunities for family bonding and relationship building that required personal sacrifice and schedule flexibility from successful professionals who had benefited from family financial support throughout their career development. These weekend business activities are really crucial for maintaining client relationships and developing the trust that leads to policy renewals and referral business, Derek explained, while obviously hoping that professional justification would make his family avoidance appear reasonable and necessary, rather than revealing his fundamental lack of appreciation for elderly parent needs and family relationship maintenance. But Derek's focus on weekend business activities and client relationship development demonstrated his complete failure to understand that his insurance industry success and commercial client base were dependent on business connections and professional reputation that I had developed through decades of commercial real estate success and tenant relationship management that had created the business environment where Derek's agency could attract major commercial clients and generate substantial commission income. My attempts to coordinate transportation assistance during the week leading up to the fateful Saturday revealed Derek's systematic effort to avoid family obligations while preserving his self-image as a caring son who addressed elderly parent needs through efficient problem-solving rather than personal involvement and emotional investment. Instead of simply agreeing to provide assistance, Derek approached each coordination conversation as an opportunity to negotiate reduced involvement and alternative solutions. "I've been thinking about this transportation situation," Derek mentioned during our September 10th phone call, with obvious calculation about minimizing family obligation investment. "Maybe we could coordinate the Walmart trip with one of your other errands, so we could handle multiple things efficiently and minimize the time investment required for transportation assistance." Derek's suggestion of efficient coordination revealed his systematic approach to family obligation management, where elderly parent assistance was treated like a business problem requiring optimization and time minimization, rather than understanding that family caregiving represented opportunities for personal connection and relationship building that required emotional engagement and unhurried attention to elderly parent needs and preferences. "Or maybe you could make a detailed shopping list so we could get everything accomplished quickly without spending extended time in this store," Derek continued, while obviously hoping that family obligations could be streamlined and minimized through efficient planning, rather than recognizing that shopping trips represented social activities and family time that elderly parents valued for human interaction and personal assistance. Win assistance. But Derek's focus on efficiency and time minimization demonstrated his fundamental misunderstanding of elderly parent needs and family relationship building, treating caregiving like inconvenient obligations requiring quick completion, rather than understanding that family assistance represented emotional connection and relationship development that required patience and personal investment from successful children who had benefited from elderly parent support and financial assistance throughout their professional development. By September 15th, the day before Derek's Walmart parking lot abandonment would trigger the most expensive consequences of his professional life, his behavior toward family obligations and elderly parent assistance had revealed the systematic disrespect and entitlement that would justify comprehensive commercial exile and business relationship termination. Instead of approaching our final coordination conversation with appreciation and respect, Derek demonstrated obvious irritation about family responsibilities that interfered with his preferred personal and professional activities. "Mom, I need to be honest about tomorrow's Walmart trip," Derek mentioned during our final phone conversation with obvious reluctance about providing transportation assistance. "I've got some business opportunities developing that might require my attention, and I'm hoping we can keep the shopping trip short and efficient so I can be available for client coordination and professional development activities." Derek's emphasis on keeping the trip short and efficient revealed his systematic effort to minimize family obligation investment while maintaining the appearance of accommodation and assistance for elderly parent needs. His obvious priority on business availability over family time demonstrated the entitlement and disrespect that would trigger comprehensive consequences for someone whose comfortable lifestyle depended entirely on the commercial real estate empire that he had never understood or appreciated. The stage was set for Derek's Walmart parking lot abandonment to reveal his true character and trigger the systematic commercial consequences that would teach him the most expensive lesson of his life about family loyalty, respect for elderly parents, and the importance of understanding that comfortable lifestyles and professional success often depend on relationships and support systems that require gratitude and consideration, rather than taking for granted the advantages and opportunities that had made his insurance career success possible through decades of strategic support and business relationship development. Saturday morning, September 16, 2023, dawned with the crisp autumn air that would become forever associated with the most expensive day of Derek Thompson's life. The day began with what appeared to be routine coordination for a simple grocery shopping trip that would reveal my son's true character and trigger consequences more comprehensive than justice usually provides in family relationships, where elderly parents discover that their children view them as burdens, rather than understanding that their comfortable lifestyles depend entirely on the commercial real estate empire they had never bothered to acknowledge or appreciate. At 9:30 a.m., I called Derek to confirm our Walmart shopping arrangement, speaking with the optimistic expectation of someone who still believed that family relationships could overcome professional selfishness, and that successful children would ultimately demonstrate gratitude for the elderly parent whose life's work had made their achievements possible through decades of systematic financial support and business relationship development. "Good morning, Derek," I said cheerfully into the phone, preparing for what I hoped would be quality family time and an opportunity for my son to demonstrate that insurance career success hadn't completely eliminated his capacity for family consideration and elderly parent assistance. "I'm ready for our Walmart trip whenever it's convenient for you to pick me up." Derek's response to my confirmation call revealed the systematic excuse preparation that he had obviously been developing throughout the week, approaching our family obligation like a business problem, requiring strategic management, rather than recognizing this as an opportunity to provide meaningful assistance to the elderly parent whose commercial real estate success had created every advantage he considered evidence of personal achievement and professional competence. "I once had promenio competence." "Mom, I'm so sorry, but something urgent came up with a major commercial client," Derek announced with obvious relief that he could use professional emergency language to justify family abandonment while preserving his self-image as a dedicated insurance professional, rather than acknowledging that he was choosing personal convenience over elderly parent assistance and family relationship maintenance. "The Peterson Group is having an emergency board meeting about their property insurance coverage, and they need me to attend because their current policies are up for renewal and there are some liability issues that require immediate attention," Derek explained with detailed business justification that was designed to make family avoidance appear professionally necessary rather than revealing his fundamental unwillingness to provide transportation assistance to the elderly parent whose commercial real estate connections had made his insurance industry success possible. But Derek's reference to emergency board meeting and immediate attention revealed the systematic excuse development that had characterized his approach to family obligations throughout September, where increasingly elaborate business emergencies provided justification for avoiding elderly parent assistance while maintaining his professional reputation and self-image as someone who addressed family needs through responsible problem-solving rather than personal sacrifice and emotional investment. Could we possibly reschedule the Walmart trip for later today or maybe tomorrow? Derek continued with obvious hope that family obligations could be deferred and minimized, rather than understanding that elderly parent needs required immediate attention and couldn't be postponed for professional convenience and business development activities. I should be finished with this client emergency by mid-afternoon, or we could coordinate shopping assistance for Sunday if that works better with your schedule and preferences. Derek's suggestion of rescheduling revealed his assumption that elderly parent assistance was flexible and optional, rather than understanding that family caregiving required priority and schedule adjustment from successful children who had benefited from systematic financial support and business relationship development throughout their professional careers and lifestyle advancement. My response to Derek's first excuse revealed my growing understanding of his systematic family avoidance, while providing him with one final opportunity to demonstrate that insurance career success hadn't completely eliminated his capacity for family loyalty and elderly parent consideration. Instead of accepting his business emergency excuse, I approached this as a negotiation where family relationships and professional obligations could be balanced through reasonable compromise and schedule coordination. Derek, I understand that business emergencies are important, but I've been planning this shopping trip all week and have already arranged my schedule around our family time together, I explained patiently, giving him the opportunity to recognize that elderly parent needs deserved consideration, and that family relationships required occasional sacrifice of professional convenience and personal preferences. Maybe you could attend your business meeting and then pick me up afterward for a late morning shopping trip, I suggested, hoping that family cooperation and schedule flexibility could overcome his obvious reluctance to provide transportation assistance while maintaining my belief that successful children ultimately understood their obligations to elderly parents who had made their achievements possible. The Walmart shopping really can't be postponed because I need to purchase groceries for the week, and my mobility limitations make independent transportation increasingly challenging, I continued, providing specific reasoning that would help Derek understand the importance of family assistance, while hoping that his insurance career success had enhanced rather than diminished his capacity for family consideration and elderly parent support. But Derek's response to my negotiation attempt revealed the systematic prioritization that had been developing throughout our family interactions, where professional activities and personal convenience consistently took precedence over elderly parent needs and family relationship maintenance, regardless of the specific circumstances or family assistance requirements. Mom, the thing is, this Peterson Group situation is really complex and might extend longer than originally anticipated, Derek replied, with obvious calculation, about maintaining maximum flexibility for personal activities while minimizing family obligation commitment. These commercial insurance emergencies can be unpredictable, and I need to be available for follow-up coordination and additional client support that might be required throughout the day. Derek's continued resistance to providing transportation assistance prompted me to propose a compromise that would demonstrate my willingness to accommodate his professional schedule while testing whether he retained any genuine commitment to family relationships and elderly parent assistance that couldn't be eliminated through business excuse development and convenience prioritization. What if I took a rideshare service to Walmart and you met me there when your business meeting is finished? I suggested, hoping that shared responsibility and reduced time commitment might overcome his obvious reluctance to provide family assistance while maintaining the opportunity for quality time together and collaborative shopping coordination. That way you could handle your business emergency without worrying about transportation timing, and we could still accomplish the grocery shopping together when your professional obligations are completed, I continued, presenting this as a solution that balanced business requirements with family needs, while hoping that Derek would recognize the effort to accommodate his schedule and respond with appropriate appreciation and family consideration. I could start the shopping independently and wait for you to arrive for assistance with heavy items and checkout coordination that requires help with cart management and package loading, I explained, making the family assistance as convenient as possible while hoping that Derek would understand the importance of maintaining family relationships through shared activities and mutual support during the aging process. But Derek's response to my compromise proposal revealed his systematic effort to eliminate family involvement entirely rather than recognizing this as an opportunity to demonstrate appreciation for the elderly parent whose commercial real estate empire had been supporting his comfortable lifestyle through 15 years of strategic financial assistance and business relationship development. Mom, honestly, I think the rideshare idea is perfect, and you probably don't need me there at all, Derek responded with obvious enthusiasm for complete family obligation elimination. You're very capable of handling grocery shopping independently, and the rideshare service can provide transportation both ways without requiring coordination with my business schedule and professional availability. Derek's suggestion that I probably don't need him at all triggered my decision to test his family loyalty through a direct request that would reveal whether his insurance career success had completely eliminated his willingness to provide assistance to elderly parents, or whether some capacity for family consideration remained beneath his professional prioritization and convenience management. Derek, I need to be honest with you, I said firmly, abandoning my accommodating approach and speaking with the directness of someone whose patience with family excuses had reached its limit. I specifically asked for your help because family assistance is important to me, not just because I need transportation. This is about spending time together and maintaining our family relationship through shared activities and mutual support. Taking rideshare services and shopping alone defeats the entire purpose of family time and collaborative activity that strengthens relationships between elderly parents and successful children who have benefited from systematic support throughout their career development. I continued, hoping that direct communication about family values and relationship priorities would help Derek understand that his professional success created obligations rather than excuses for family involvement and elderly parent assistance. If your business activities are so demanding that you can't spare 2 hours on Saturday morning for grocery shopping with your elderly mother, then perhaps we need to discuss your priorities and the importance you place on family relationships versus professional advancement and personal convenience. I stated clearly, providing Derek with a final opportunity to recognize that family loyalty required occasional sacrifice, and that elderly parent assistance represented meaningful relationship building rather than inconvenient obligations requiring efficient management. Derek's response to my direct communication revealed the systematic family devaluation that had been developing throughout his insurance career advancement, where professional success had enhanced his sense of entitlement rather than increasing his appreciation for the elderly parent whose commercial real estate empire had made his achievements possible. Mom, you're making this much more complicated than it needs to be, Derek replied with obvious irritation about family relationship requirements that interfered with his preferred personal and professional activities. I'm trying to be responsible about my business obligations while still addressing your transportation needs through practical solutions that work for both of us. Derek's characterization of my family relationship concerns as making this complicated revealed his fundamental inability to understand that elderly parent assistance represented emotional connection and family bonding, rather than transportation problems requiring efficient solutions through commercial services and third-party providers. His response prompted my final attempt to appeal to whatever family loyalty remained beneath his professional prioritization and elderly parent dismissal. Derek, I'm 70 years old, and I'm asking my son to spend Saturday morning helping me with grocery shopping, I said with growing clarity about his true priorities and family commitment level. This isn't complicated. It's a simple request for family assistance and quality time together that should be important to successful children who understand their obligations to elderly parents who have supported their achievements throughout their career development. I've been flexible and accommodating about your business schedule, but I'm beginning to understand that your professional activities will always take priority over family relationships and elderly parent needs, regardless of the specific circumstances or importance I place on spending time together. I continued, giving Derek one final opportunity to demonstrate that his insurance success hadn't completely eliminated his capacity for family consideration and parental respect. If spending 2 hours helping your elderly mother with grocery shopping is too much of an inconvenience for your business development and professional advancement, then perhaps you should be honest about your priorities, rather than creating elaborate excuses that avoid acknowledging your fundamental unwillingness to provide family assistance, I stated clearly, testing whether Derek retained any shame about family neglect, or whether his entitlement had reached levels that would justify the comprehensive consequences I was prepared to implement. Derek's final response revealed the complete family dismissal and elderly parent devaluation that would trigger the most expensive lesson of his professional life about respect, gratitude, and the importance of understanding that comfortable lifestyles depend on relationships and support systems that require appreciation, rather than exploitation and entitlement. Look, Mom, I really don't have time for this guilt trip about family obligations and spending time together, Derek replied with obvious irritation about family relationship requirements that interfered with his personal preferences and professional activities. I've offered practical solutions for your transportation needs, and I think you're being unreasonable about expecting me to rearrange my business schedule for grocery shopping that you can handle independently. Despite Derek's obvious reluctance and family dismissal, his final communication included a grudging agreement to provide transportation assistance that would become the setup for the abandonment that changed everything. Rather than honestly declining to help, Derek chose deception and manipulation that would reveal his true character, while providing me with undeniable evidence of his family loyalty and elderly parent respect. Fine, I'll pick you up at 11:30 and drive you to Walmart, Derek announced with obvious reluctance and irritation about family obligation fulfillment. But I really need this to be efficient, because I have important business activities that require attention later in the day, and I can't spend extended time shopping and coordinating grocery purchases. Derek's agreement came with conditions and time limitations that revealed his systematic approach to family obligation management, where elderly parent assistance was treated like inconvenient business tasks requiring quick completion rather than opportunities for family bonding and relationship building that deserved patience and emotional investment from successful children who had benefited from systematic financial support throughout their career development. I'll wait in the car while you shop, and then I'll help you load groceries and drive you home, Derek continued, establishing parameters that minimized his involvement while maintaining the appearance of family assistance and elderly parent accommodation. That way we can handle the transportation efficiently without spending excessive time on shopping coordination and store navigation. But Derek's plan to wait in the car revealed his fundamental misunderstanding of family assistance and elderly parent needs, treating grocery shopping like a delivery service, rather than understanding that shared activities and collaborative coordination represented meaningful family time and relationship building that required personal engagement and emotional support for aging relatives who valued human interaction and family involvement. At 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, September 16, 2023, Derek arrived at my modest suburban home with obvious impatience and irritation about family obligation fulfillment. His behavior during the brief drive to Walmart revealed the entitlement and elderly parent dismissal that would trigger consequences more comprehensive than he could imagine, affecting every aspect of his comfortable lifestyle and professional success that depended entirely on the commercial real estate empire he had never bothered to understand or appreciate. The Walmart parking lot on South 320th Street in Federal Way was moderately crowded with Saturday morning shoppers when Derek pulled into a parking space near the store entrance, his obvious irritation and time pressure creating an atmosphere of tension and family obligation resentment, rather than the collaborative assistance and quality time that I had hoped to experience with my successful son. "Okay, Mom, here we are," Derek announced while keeping his engine running and checking his phone for business messages that apparently couldn't wait until family assistance was completed. "I'll wait here in the car while you handle the shopping, and then I'll help you load groceries when you're finished." Derek's plan to remain in the vehicle while I shopped independently revealed his systematic effort to minimize family involvement while maintaining the technical fulfillment of transportation assistance obligations. His obvious impatience and business message prioritization demonstrated the elderly parent devaluation that had characterized our recent interactions and family relationship coordination. "Derek, I was hoping you could help me navigate the store and assist with cart management," I explained, making one final attempt to engage him in collaborative family activity, rather than accepting his minimal involvement approach to elderly parent assistance. "The Walmart aisles are crowded and confusing, and I really would appreciate your help with shopping coordination and package management. Mom, I really need to stay available for business calls and client coordination," Derek replied while continuing to check his phone and respond to messages that took priority over family conversation and elderly parent assistance. "You're perfectly capable of handling grocery shopping, and I'll be right here when you're ready for help with loading and transportation home." Derek's refusal to provide shopping assistance beyond minimal transportation revealed his fundamental unwillingness to invest time and emotional energy in family relationships, treating elderly parent needs like inconvenient obligations rather than opportunities for meaningful connection and shared activities that strengthened family bonds and demonstrated appreciation for aging relatives who had sacrificed for their children's success. Despite Derek's obvious reluctance to provide comprehensive assistance, I made one final attempt to engage him in collaborative family activity that would test his willingness to demonstrate respect and consideration for the elderly parent whose life's work had made his comfortable lifestyle possible through decades of strategic financial support and business relationship development. "Could you at least come into the store with me to help with the shopping cart and package coordination?" I asked, hoping that minimal family involvement might be possible. Despite his obvious prioritization of business activities over elderly parent assistance and family relationship maintenance, papel ing unlisensi and saped. The shopping cart is heavy and difficult to maneuver, and I would really appreciate having someone to help with navigation and item selection that requires physical assistance and collaborative coordination. I continued, making the request as specific and minimal as possible, while hoping that Derek retained some capacity for family consideration beneath his professional entitlement and elderly parent dismissal. Derek's response to my final assistance request revealed the complete family devaluation that would justify the comprehensive consequences about to transform his comfortable life into a systematic pattern of commercial rejection and business relationship termination that would teach him the true cost of abandoning elderly relatives whose generosity had made his achievements possible. "Mom, honestly, I think you're being overly dependent and dramatic about grocery shopping that millions of elderly people handle independently every day," Derek replied with obvious irritation about family assistance requests that interfered with his personal convenience and professional availability. "You've been shopping for decades, and I'm sure you can manage one trip to Walmart without requiring constant assistance and handholding." Derek's characterization of my assistance request as overly dependent and dramatic revealed his systematic minimization of elderly parent needs, while demonstrating the disrespect and entitlement that had developed throughout his insurance career, advancement, and professional success that he attributed entirely to personal achievement, rather than understanding the family support and business connections that had made his comfortable lifestyle possible. What happened next would forever be etched in my memory as the moment when Derek revealed his true character and triggered consequences that would systematically destroy every aspect of the comfortable lifestyle he considered his personal achievement and professional entitlement. Instead of recognizing that elderly parent assistance represented basic family responsibility and human decency, Derek chose abandonment and betrayal that would cost him access to every commercial establishment he considered essential to modern living. "You know what, Mom? I've been trying to be patient about this, but you're being unreasonable about expecting me to spend my entire Saturday managing your shopping trip when I have important business activities that require attention," Derek announced with obvious decision-making finality about family obligation elimination. "I think you need to learn to be more independent and stop relying on other people to handle routine activities that you're perfectly capable of managing yourself," Derek continued, while obviously preparing to abandon our family shopping arrangement and elderly parent assistance coordination. "I'm going to leave you here to handle your grocery shopping, and you can call a rideshare service when you're finished," Derek stated with cold calculation about family abandonment that revealed his systematic devaluation of elderly parent relationships and complete lack of appreciation for the commercial real estate empire that had been supporting his lifestyle for 15 years. Before I could respond to his abandonment announcement, Derek accelerated out of the Walmart parking lot, leaving me standing alone near the store entrance with the growing realization that my successful insurance agent son had just revealed himself as someone whose professional achievement had eliminated every trace of family loyalty, elderly parent respect, and basic human decency that should characterize relationships between successful children and aging relatives who had sacrificed for their advancement. Standing alone in the Walmart parking lot at 11:47 a.m. on September 16, 2023, I experienced the profound clarity that comes from watching adult children reveal their true character through actions that demonstrate complete disrespect for family relationships and systematic exploitation of elderly relatives whose generosity they had never acknowledged or appreciated. The moderate autumn breeze and busy Saturday shopping activity around me provided stark contrast to the isolation and abandonment that Derek had chosen to inflict on his elderly mother, rather than providing 2 hours of family assistance and shopping coordination. The irony of my situation was overwhelming. standing abandoned in a parking lot by the son whose comfortable lifestyle depended entirely on my commercial real estate empire, whose insurance career existed because of business connections I had developed, whose office lease was secretly subsidized through family trust arrangements, and whose favorite restaurants and shopping destinations were owned by the elderly mother he had just treated like an inconvenient burden requiring efficient management rather than family respect and collaborative assistance. Derek had no idea that the woman he abandoned in the Walmart parking lot controlled the Best Buy where he purchased all his electronics, the Romano's Italian Bistro where he conducted client meetings, the Thompson Professional Center where his insurance agency operated, and virtually every commercial establishment that he frequented throughout his daily routine and professional activities. His abandonment would trigger systematic consequences that would transform his convenient retail paradise into a comprehensive pattern of commercial rejection and access denial. But the most devastating aspect of Derek's abandonment wasn't the practical inconvenience or emotional impact. It was the complete revelation of his character and family priorities that justified implementing consequences I had hoped would never be necessary. The legal documents waiting in my office safe represented not just punishment for family betrayal, but systematic education about respect, gratitude, and the importance of understanding that comfortable lifestyles depend on relationships that require appreciation rather than exploitation and entitlement. Using my cell phone while standing in the Walmart parking lot, I called Patricia Chen, my executive assistant and director of operations for Thompson Commercial Properties, to initiate the comprehensive consequence implementation that would systematically eliminate Derek's access to every aspect of the commercial infrastructure that had made his comfortable lifestyle possible through decades of strategic property development and business relationship management. "Patricia, this is Margaret," I said with calm determination about implementing justice that had been carefully planned for exactly this scenario. "Derek has just demonstrated complete disrespect for family relationships by abandoning me at Walmart, and I need you to initiate Protocol 7 immediately." Protocol 7 was the comprehensive consequence implementation strategy that we had developed months earlier as contingency planning for systematic family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment. The protocol involved coordinating with property managers, business owners, legal representatives, and municipal authorities to implement commercial access restrictions and business relationship terminations that would demonstrate the true cost of exploiting family relationships and dismissing elderly relatives whose life's work had created opportunities and advantages for ungrateful children. "Understood, Margaret," Patricia responded with professional efficiency about consequence implementation that had been rehearsed and prepared through detailed planning and legal coordination. "I'll begin contacting property managers and business owners immediately to implement access restrictions and lease modifications according to our predetermined timeline and legal authorization procedures. Start with the Thompson Professional Center to terminate Derek's office lease arrangement, then proceed through all retail locations according to our priority sequence," I instructed while watching Saturday shoppers enter and exit Walmart, unaware that they were witnessing the location where one of the most expensive family lessons in commercial real estate history had just been triggered through filial abandonment and elderly parent betrayal. The first phase of Derek's consequence education began immediately with Patricia's phone call to James Morrison, property manager for the Thompson Professional Center, instructing him to begin lease termination procedures for Derek Thompson Insurance Agency, effective immediately due to violation of family consideration clauses that had been included in all family member lease agreements as protection against elderly parent exploitation and family loyalty abandonment. "Mr. Morrison, this is Patricia Chen calling on behalf of Margaret Thompson regarding immediate lease termination for Suite 304. Patricia explained with professional precision about consequence implementation that had been legally prepared and thoroughly documented. "Derek Thompson has violated family consideration provisions in his lease agreement, and Mrs. Thompson is exercising her right to immediate termination and business relationship discontinuation. Please prepare 30-day notice documentation and coordinate with building security to implement access restrictions according to our family protection protocols," Patricia continued while coordinating the systematic elimination of Derek's business location and professional address that he considered evidence of his insurance career success and personal achievement. The second phone call was to Maria Romano at Romano's Italian Bistro, informing her that Derek Thompson was no longer welcome at the restaurant due to family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment that violated the community values and respect standards that characterized businesses operating in Thompson Commercial Properties developments. Mrs. Romano, this is Patricia Chen from Thompson Commercial Properties Management. Patricia explained with diplomatic professionalism about customer access restrictions that were legally authorized through property owner policies and business operation guidelines. We need to inform you that Derek Thompson is no longer welcome at your restaurant due to behavior that conflicts with our community standards and family respect values. Please coordinate with your staff to ensure that Mr. Thompson understands he cannot return to Romano's Italian Bistro, and contact our office if there are any questions about this access restriction and customer policy implementation, Patricia continued, while eliminating Derek's favorite business lunch location and client entertainment venue that he had never understood was owned by his abandoned mother. The third phase of consequence implementation involved contacting Best Buy management at the Cascade View Shopping Center to inform them that Derek Thompson was permanently banned from the electronics store, where he had spent thousands of dollars purchasing computers, smartphones, and office equipment that he believed represented independent consumer choices, rather than shopping activities that generated rental income for his elderly mother. This is Patricia Chen calling from Thompson Commercial Properties regarding customer access restrictions for Derek Thompson. Patricia explained to the Best Buy store manager, with legal authority about property owner policies and customer behavior standards. Mr. Thompson is no longer welcome at your location due to behavior that violates our community standards and family respect expectations. Please coordinate with store security to ensure that Mr. Thompson understands he cannot return to Best Buy, and contact our management office if there are any questions about this customer restriction and access policy implementation, Patricia continued while systematically eliminating Derek's technology shopping options and forcing him to discover that his favorite electronics store was actually owned by the elderly mother he had abandoned in a parking lot. The fourth phase involved contacting Safeway management to implement grocery store access restrictions that would force Derek to discover that his food shopping options were controlled by the woman whose transportation assistance he had considered too inconvenient for his professional schedule and business development priorities. This is Patricia Chen from Thompson Commercial Properties notifying you that Derek Thompson is banned from your Safeway location due to family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment. Patricia explained with systematic precision about customer access elimination that was legally authorized through property ownership rights and business operation policies. The comprehensive nature of these access restrictions began revealing the scope of Derek's dependency on commercial establishments that I owned or controlled throughout the Seattle metropolitan area, creating a pattern of rejection and access denial that would systematically eliminate his ability to conduct routine shopping, dining, and business activities without confronting the consequences of elderly parent abandonment and family relationship exploitation. While Patricia coordinated retail access restrictions and business relationship terminations, I initiated the second phase of consequence implementation by contacting our family trust attorney, Robert Davidson, to begin systematic termination of all financial assistance and support arrangements that had been subsidizing Derek's lifestyle and business operations through 15 years of family generosity and strategic assistance that he had never acknowledged or appreciated. Robert, this is Margaret Thompson calling to implement comprehensive trust termination procedures for Derek Thompson. I explained with legal precision about financial support elimination that had been prepared for exactly this scenario. Derek has demonstrated complete family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment, and I need all assistance arrangements terminated immediately according to our contingency planning and legal authorization procedures. Begin with termination of the office lease subsidy trust, then proceed through vehicle lease assistance, insurance premium support, and all other financial arrangements according to our predetermined timeline, I instructed, while ensuring that Derek would discover the true cost of his professional lifestyle without family financial support and strategic assistance that had been provided through complex but legal trust arrangements. I also need you to coordinate with Peterson Group Insurance to inform them that Derek Thompson's agency no longer has family endorsement or business relationship support, I continued, eliminating the professional credibility and client relationships that Derek had attributed to personal achievement rather than understanding the business connections and institutional trust that my commercial real estate reputation had provided to his insurance career development. The Peterson Group, Derek's supposedly emergency client meeting that had justified abandoning his elderly mother, would discover that Derek Thompson's insurance agency operated without the family business connections and professional endorsement that had originally attracted their commercial policy business and ongoing relationship management. The systematic elimination of Derek's professional network and business relationships continued through carefully coordinated communications with commercial clients, business partners, and industry contacts who had developed relationships with Derek Thompson Insurance Agency based on assumptions about family business connections and commercial real estate industry endorsement that would no longer exist after his elderly parent abandonment and family loyalty betrayal. Patricia contacted the Bellevue Chamber of Commerce to inform them that Derek Thompson no longer had family business endorsement or commercial real estate industry support for his membership and board participation activities. The chamber leadership, who had elected Derek to committee positions based partly on his association with Thompson commercial property success and community development contributions, would need to reconsider his organizational involvement and professional standing within the business community. The Seattle Insurance Professionals Association received similar notification that Derek Thompson's agency no longer had family business support or commercial real estate industry connections that had originally established his professional credibility and association leadership opportunities. Derek's board position and professional recognition within the insurance industry would be compromised when colleagues understood that his family business connections had been eliminated due to elderly parent betrayal and family relationship exploitation. Derek's participation in Rotary Club activities, charitable fundraising events, and professional development seminars had been enhanced by his association with my reputation as a successful commercial real estate developer and community philanthropist. These organizations received notification that Derek Thompson no longer represented family business interests or community development values that had originally supported his social and professional standing within civic and charitable organizations. By 3 p.m. on Saturday, September 16, 2023, just 3 hours after Derek had abandoned me in the Walmart parking lot, the systematic consequence implementation had already begun affecting his professional and personal activities in ways that would escalate throughout the weekend and following weeks. Derek's comfortable lifestyle and routine commercial activities were about to become a comprehensive pattern of rejection and access denial that would teach him the true cost of family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment. Derek's first encounter with consequences occurred when he attempted to purchase lunch at Romano's Italian Bistro, where Maria Romano personally informed him that he was no longer welcome at the restaurant due to family behavior that violated community standards and respect expectations for customers who patronized businesses in Thompson Commercial Properties developments. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, but we've been informed that you can no longer dine at Romano's Italian Bistro," Maria explained with obvious discomfort about customer access restrictions that she didn't fully understand but was required to implement according to property owner policies and business operation guidelines. "There seems to be some issue with family respect and community standards that our property management company considers important for maintaining the quality of businesses and customers in our shopping center," Maria continued while Derek experienced his first taste of commercial rejection and access denial that would become a systematic pattern affecting every aspect of his daily routine and professional activities. Derek's confusion and irritation about restaurant access restrictions would escalate throughout the afternoon as he discovered that his favorite coffee shop, his preferred gas station, and his regular dry cleaning service had all received similar notifications about customer access restrictions due to family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment that violated community values and business operation standards. Sunday, September 17th, brought Derek's growing realization that his commercial access restrictions extended far beyond individual business relationships to encompass a comprehensive network of retail establishments and service providers that he had never understood were connected through common ownership and property management coordination. His attempts to conduct routine weekend activities revealed the scope of his dependency on commercial infrastructure that I had created through decades of strategic property development and business relationship management. Derek's attempt to purchase groceries at Safeway resulted in store security informing him that he was permanently banned from the location due to customer behavior violations and family respect standards that were required for shopping at businesses operating in Thompson Commercial Properties developments. The security coordinator explained that customer access restrictions had been implemented according to property owner policies and would be enforced consistently across all retail locations within the shopping center network. His visit to Best Buy to purchase replacement electronics for his office resulted in similar access denial and customer restriction enforcement that forced Derek to begin understanding that his commercial activities occurred within an interconnected system of businesses and properties that were controlled by someone whose identity he was beginning to suspect, despite his previous ignorance about family business relationships and commercial real estate ownership. Derek's attempts to access his office at the Thompson Professional Center on Sunday evening for document retrieval and client coordination resulted in building security informing him that his lease had been terminated and his access privileges had been revoked effective immediately due to violation of family consideration provisions and elderly parent respect standards that were included in all tenant agreements within the building. Monday, September 18, 2023, began Derek's professional education about the true source of his insurance career success and the comprehensive nature of his dependency on family business relationships that he had never acknowledged or appreciated throughout 15 years of systematic support and strategic assistance. His attempts to conduct routine business activities revealed that his comfortable professional lifestyle had been built on foundations that could be systematically eliminated through consequence implementation and family support withdrawal. Derek's arrival at his insurance agency office resulted in discovery that his lease had been terminated, his access had been revoked, and his business location had been eliminated due to family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment that violated tenant agreement provisions about community respect and family consideration standards. Building security provided him with legal documentation about lease termination and 30-day notice requirements for property removal and business relocation coordination. His attempts to contact major commercial clients resulted in discovering that Peterson Group Insurance had received notification about family business relationship termination and professional endorsement withdrawal that affected their confidence in Derek Thompson Insurance Agency's stability and long-term business viability. Other commercial clients expressed similar concerns about business relationship changes and professional support elimination that they didn't fully understand but considered significant enough to warrant insurance coverage evaluation and potential agency changes. Please prepare 30-day notice documentation and coordinate with building security to implement access restrictions according to our family protection protocols. Patricia continued while coordinating the systematic elimination of Derek's business location and professional address that he considered evidence of his insurance career success and personal achievement. The second phone call was to Maria Romano at Romano's Italian Bistro, informing her that Derek Thompson was no longer welcome at the restaurant due to family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment that violated the community values and respect standards that characterized businesses operating in Thompson Commercial Properties developments. Mrs. Romano, this is Patricia Chen from Thompson Commercial Properties Management. Patricia explained with diplomatic professionalism about customer access restrictions that were legally authorized through property owner policies and business operation guidelines. We need to inform you that Derek Thompson is no longer welcome at your restaurant due to behavior that conflicts with our community standards and family respect values. Please coordinate with your staff to ensure that Mr. Thompson understands he cannot return to Romano's Italian Bistro and contact our office if there are any questions about this access restriction and customer policy implementation. Patricia continued, while eliminating Derek's favorite business lunch location and client entertainment venue that he had never understood was owned by his abandoned mother. The third phase of consequence implementation involved contacting Best Buy management at the Cascade View Shopping Center to inform them that Derek Thompson was permanently banned from the electronics store, where he had spent thousands of dollars purchasing computers, smartphones, and office equipment that he believed represented independent consumer choices, rather than shopping activities that generated rental income for his elderly mother. This is Patricia Chen calling from Thompson Commercial Properties regarding customer access restrictions for Derek Thompson. Patricia explained to the Best Buy store manager, with legal authority about property owner policies and customer behavior standards. Mr. Thompson is no longer welcome at your location due to behavior that violates our community standards and family respect expectations. Please coordinate with store security to ensure that Mr. Thompson understands he cannot return to Best Buy, and contact our management office if there are any questions about this customer restriction and access policy implementation. Patricia continued while systematically eliminating Derek's technology shopping options and forcing him to discover that his favorite electronics store was actually owned by the elderly mother he had abandoned in a parking lot. The fourth phase involved contacting Safeway management to implement grocery store access restrictions that would force Derek to discover that his food shopping options were controlled by the woman whose transportation assistance he had considered too inconvenient for his professional schedule and business development priorities. This is Patricia Chen from Thompson Commercial Properties notifying you that Derek Thompson is banned from your Safeway location due to family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment. Patricia explained with systematic precision about customer access elimination that was legally authorized through property ownership rights and business operation policies. The comprehensive nature of these access restrictions began revealing the scope of Derek's dependency on commercial establishments that I owned or controlled throughout the Seattle metropolitan area, creating a pattern of rejection and access denial that would systematically eliminate his ability to conduct routine shopping, dining, and business activities without confronting the consequences of elderly parent abandonment and family relationship exploitation. While Patricia coordinated retail access restrictions and business relationship terminations, I initiated the second phase of consequence implementation by contacting our family trust attorney, Robert Davidson, to begin systematic termination of all financial assistance and support arrangements that had been subsidizing Derek's lifestyle and business operations through 15 years of family generosity and strategic assistance that he had never acknowledged or appreciated. My response to Derek's reconciliation attempt provided him with clear understanding about the permanent nature of consequences for family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment that demonstrated complete lack of appreciation for generosity and support that had made his achievements possible through decades of strategic assistance and business relationship development. Derek, there is no misunderstanding about what happened last Saturday, I replied with calm finality about consequence implementation that would continue indefinitely. You abandoned your 70-year-old mother in a Walmart parking lot because providing 2 hours of grocery shopping assistance was too inconvenient for your business schedule and personal priorities. That abandonment revealed your true character and demonstrated complete disrespect for family relationships and elderly parent consideration. The business difficulties you're experiencing are not complications to be resolved through negotiation. They are consequences for 15 years of taking family support for granted, while treating the elderly parent whose commercial real estate empire made your comfortable lifestyle possible as an inconvenient burden requiring efficient management, I continued, ensuring Derek understood that consequence implementation reflected systematic justice rather than family conflict requiring compromise and accommodation. Every office building, shopping center, restaurant, and retail establishment you've lost access to represents property that I own or developed through Thompson Commercial Properties, I explained, providing Derek with his first comprehensive understanding of the commercial real estate empire he had never bothered to investigate or appreciate. Your insurance career, your business relationships, your favorite restaurants, your technology purchases, everything you considered evidence of personal achievement actually depended on family business connections and financial support that you never acknowledged or respected. Derek's stunned silence during my explanation revealed his growing comprehension of the systematic nature of his dependency and the comprehensive scope of consequence implementation that would affect every aspect of his daily routine and professional activities for the indefinite future. Your office lease at the Thompson Professional Center was subsidized through family trust arrangements that provided you with free commercial space while you believed you were paying market rates, I continued, systematically revealing the extent of financial support that Derek had never understood or appreciated. Your vehicle lease, insurance premiums, and business expenses were supplemented through trust accounts that I managed through commercial real estate income, while you attributed your financial comfort to exceptional insurance sales performance. The Peterson Group emergency meeting that justified abandoning me was actually a client relationship that existed because of my commercial real estate reputation and business connections within the Seattle business community, I explained, demonstrating how thoroughly Derek's professional success had depended on family relationships and institutional trust that he had never earned through individual achievement. Romano's Italian Bistro, where you conducted weekly client lunches, Best Buy, where you purchased electronics, Safeway, where you shopped for groceries. All of these businesses operate in properties that I own and generate rental income that contributed to the family financial support you received without understanding or appreciating. I continued, revealing the comprehensive nature of his commercial dependency and the systematic consequences that would continue affecting his lifestyle indefinitely. Your professional recognition within the Bellevue Chamber of Commerce, your board position with the Seattle Insurance Professionals Association, your social standing within Rotary Club activities. All of this existed because of your association with my reputation as a successful commercial real estate developer and community philanthropist. I explained, demonstrating that Derek's social and professional identity had been built on foundations that were now permanently eliminated. These consequences are not temporary business complications that can be resolved through family reconciliation and accommodation, I stated clearly, ensuring Derek understood that his choices had created permanent changes to his life circumstances and professional prospects. You are permanently banned from every commercial establishment in my property portfolio, which includes virtually every retail location, restaurant, and service provider you've used throughout your daily routine for the past 15 years. At all. Your insurance agency lease termination is final, your professional endorsements have been withdrawn, and your business relationships have been informed about family betrayal and elderly parent abandonment that compromises your character and professional integrity, I continued, outlining consequences that would require complete life reorganization and systematic adaptation to circumstances beyond his control or correction. The financial support arrangements that supplemented your lifestyle and business operations have been permanently terminated, meaning you'll discover the true cost of your professional activities without family assistance and strategic subsidies that you never acknowledged or appreciated, I explained, ensuring Derek understood that his comfortable financial situation had been an illusion created through systematic family generosity. Most importantly, Derek, you will learn what your life looks like without the commercial real estate empire and business relationships that you never bothered to understand or respect, I stated with finality about educational consequences that would continue indefinitely. Every inconvenience you experience, every business relationship you lose, every commercial access restriction you encounter will remind you of the cost of abandoning elderly parents whose generosity made your achievements possible. Today, 5 years after Derek abandoned me in that Walmart parking lot, his life serves as a cautionary tale throughout the Pacific Northwest business community about the consequences of exploiting elderly relatives and taking family support for granted, while attributing success to personal achievement rather than systematic assistance and strategic relationship development. Derek currently works as a sales associate at a car dealership in Spokane, earning $38,000 annually while struggling with student loan payments for business courses he's taking to rebuild his career in a different industry and geographic region where my commercial real estate influence doesn't extend. His insurance industry career ended permanently when professional associations and business networks throughout Seattle understood that his success had been built on family connections that were terminated due to elderly parent betrayal and character failures. His attempts to establish new business relationships and professional credibility have been systematically undermined by his reputation for family exploitation and elderly parent abandonment that violated the trust and integrity standards that characterize successful business operations and professional service excellence. The business community's awareness of his character defects has made him unsuitable for positions requiring client trust and professional responsibility. Derek's social isolation extends beyond professional consequences to encompass personal relationships and community involvement that were compromised when friends and acquaintances understood that he had abandoned his elderly mother in a parking lot because grocery shopping assistance was too inconvenient for his business schedule. His personal reputation for selfishness and family betrayal has eliminated dating opportunities and friendship development that require character and integrity. His daily routine now involves shopping at discount stores and budget retailers that operate outside my commercial property network, dining at fast food restaurants and chain establishments that provide basic nutrition without the quality and convenience he previously enjoyed at businesses owned by the mother he abandoned. His lifestyle has been permanently reduced to bare minimum commercial access and budget-conscious consumption that reflects his true earning capacity without family financial support. The modest suburban home in Maple Valley where Derek abandoned me for the last time continues serving as headquarters for Thompson Commercial Properties, where our retail developments now generate over $95 million annually in lease revenues from commercial tenants who understand that property ownership requires community responsibility and family values that Derek never demonstrated throughout 15 years of systematic support and strategic assistance. The Thompson Institute for Retail Excellence continues training 20 students annually in ethical commercial development and community-focused business practices, with graduates commanding executive positions at property management companies throughout North America and Europe. The waiting list for admission extends over 5 years, and we regularly receive applications from commercial real estate professionals seeking master-level training in property development and tenant relationship management that honors traditional values and elderly expertise. The commercial real estate expertise and business relationships that Derek attempted to exploit through professional manipulation and elderly parent dismissal remain protected within our educational programs, shared only with business professionals who demonstrate genuine respect for elderly mentors and commitment to ethical commercial development that serves community needs rather than targeting opportunities for personal advancement at the expense of family relationships and traditional values. My office in Maple Valley, where I spent that Saturday afternoon after taking a rideshare service home from Walmart, continues serving as the strategic planning center for someone whose commercial real estate innovations have provided shopping and business locations for millions of customers, created economic opportunities for thousands of small business owners, and maintained traditional family values through systematic support for young professionals who understand that business success requires respecting elderly relatives and honoring the commercial pioneers whose life's work made modern retail convenience possible. Sometimes the most important lesson you can teach ungrateful children is that commercial access and business success aren't family entitlements available for exploitation and convenience, but privileges that belong to elderly individuals who have earned the right to determine how their life's work benefits younger generations based on demonstrated appreciation, family loyalty, and respect for traditional values that require personal sacrifice and emotional investment, rather than efficient coordination and professional convenience. Derek learned that elderly relatives who appear to need transportation assistance may actually control retail empires worth hundreds of millions of dollars, possess the power to launch or destroy business careers, and maintain the commercial authority to determine whether adult children deserve access to modern retail convenience or should be excluded from commercial participation entirely based on their treatment of elderly parents and respect for traditional family values that distinguish successful professionals from routine workers. The Walmart parking lot abandonment that seemed like an opportunity for Derek to prioritize business activities and personal convenience became the most expensive lesson of his life about the true cost of elderly exploitation, family dismissal, and professional arrogance toward women whose commercial real estate expertise and business influence he couldn't even begin to comprehend or respect. What would you have done if your adult child abandoned you in a parking lot while assuming your financial support was permanent and your commercial empire was family property available for career exploitation? Have you ever encountered family members who took your generosity for granted while treating you like a burden, rather than understanding that your success created their opportunities and advantages? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if this story has inspired you to examine your own assumptions about elderly relatives and their potential influence over your career prospects, and the importance of treating family wealth with the respect and appreciation it deserves, regardless of how successful you believe your individual achievements have made you. And if you found this story of parking lot justice and family boundary protection resonating with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories of people who discovered that exploiting elderly relatives and dismissing traditional family values can result in consequences more expensive than they could ever imagine, and more comprehensive than justice usually provides in professional environments where reputation and relationships determine long-term career success. Remember, commercial access isn't family property available for career exploitation. It's private privilege that belongs to elderly individuals who have earned the right to determine how their life's work benefits younger generations who understand that business success requires respecting those who built retail empires through decades of strategic innovation, rather than assuming they're obligated to provide shopping conveniences and commercial access for adult children whose comfortable lifestyles should be honored through personal sacrifice rather than efficient coordination and professional convenience. The Walmart parking lot where Derek abandoned me continues providing satisfaction and validation for someone whose commercial real estate innovations have created shopping opportunities for millions of customers. while the entitled son who chose business. Networking over family assistance now works retail sales, shopping at discount stores, and learning the true cost of modern living without the commercial empire that made his previous lifestyle possible through 40 years of strategic property development and community-focused retail innovation that served both tenant needs and family advancement until ungrateful children demonstrated that they valued professional convenience over elderly parent respect and traditional family relationships.